It's August 3rd, 2021. So today they came out with my birthday, not that it matters. I spoke to Alexander James on the phone. I pointed out, I'm like, I get that you and your brothers absolutely hate me now, which I find really interesting. I was like, but whatever. I said to him, I was like, you know what take it to the grave means, Alexander? I was like, I was hoping, I heard about this place called Greenwood. It's a landmark national cemetery. It's almost like a Disney World. It's got national landmarks. It's got beautiful grassy knolls. I mean, it is supposedly, I mean, I saw pictures of it. It's supposed to be absolutely beautiful. I was like, I went to the North Central National Cemetery, which is where Grandma's father and mother are buried. I told him about that endeavor yesterday on Judy's birthday. I told him about going to see Judith in Pine Lawn, Pine Lawn Cemetery and Arboretum next door. Now that not only did his grandparents suffer under foul play and bioterrorism of a degenerative disease, being Marie, but also Judy died early and of onset of loss of lung capacity, as was Uncle Cliffy. My grandmother, Cliffy Jr., and Judith. These are Mariah's two children. The first two children to die, both died of a lung interference, and Cliffy died at age 40, and Judy died in her, I think, late 50s, early 60s. Governor Cuomo they came out today, the NYAG came out saying that Governor Cuomo sexually harassed groping women. I did a step back on whatever it is that I needed to tie into that. To say that I've never met him, he's never actually physically touched me, and I've never actually spoken to the man, ever. Not in private, not in public. So, now I have President Biden. He's supposedly, according to the news media, he's the U.S. president. And then there's a vice president, but he's the U.S. president. Now he's talking about the supply of the vaccinations, and that there's a supply for everybody. So I just wanted to make note of his address.
And that will never change.
It says White House.
It's also in our national interest to share some of our vaccines with the world, which gets me to the second thing I want to discuss today. From the beginning of my presidency, I've been very clear-eyed.
Vaccine just means source.
We need to attack this virus globally, not just at home, because it's in America's self-interest to do so.
The word virus is the VI, and it's a rus, R-U-S. It's the field of study. It's what's wrong in the world, locally, globally, and the tie-in together with the atmosphere and the whole schematic and picture at a much more advanced and higher level. That's where the word virus comes from.
No boundaries. You can't build a wall high enough to keep it out. There's no wall high enough or ocean wide enough to keep us safe from the vaccine from the COVID-19 in other countries. In fact, just like the original virus that caused COVID-19, the Delta variant came from abroad. As long as the virus...
For my Russians, being Vladimir Putin, living somewhere else, in President Biden's day, a broad was a slang term, S-L-A-N-G, for a woman, W-O-M-A-N. Normally it was not a lady that was of whatever. It's a mall term. But then again, it depends on what mall security you work.
Virus continues to rage outside the United States. Potentially more dangerous variants could arrive at our shores again. We know that COVID-19 in other countries stifles economic growth, disrupts supply chains, risks instability and weakness of governments. as we've seen in the United
multiple governments. In fact, you're gung-ho going after my biological terrorism case with immaculate degeneration already on the piler, the file, the Woodrow of Amish and Hamish genetic disorders, knowing what they need to get done and what equipment they have to resecure. You got a USMC. Yeah, you sure do. And she needs to know that she's got support because now, like recently, I see a whole lot of things that don't look like good old Joe and myself. Not anything in a US category. That's why I say I'm Russian. Forget you Americans. I've seen what you look like in New York and what you let in. I'll be Russian till the day I die.
in the United States, the key to growing
I'm what's called
economies is
Belarus.
vaccinate.
Beautiful Russian. Ukraine.
So just as the American economy is recovering, it's in all of our interest to have a global economy.
And I had the really nice man that came to visit me that I showed that I was in a horizon lightning bolt system of electricity. Where I am, it no longer goes vertical. It goes horizontal. Knocks out whatever's to the left or the right of me on lightning strike. So I told that gentleman and another guy who I called Portuguese, but for a reason, because there's two Brazilian flags. One's got a light blue and one's got a dark blue, but that goes back to China and all these counterfeits, trying to confuse everybody even more. Being bought by the cross-eyed children, and then the ones who stole the inheritance from the Black Operation and Blackwater Fund, and started a political campaign in the late 40s. With that particular campaign word, and stole all of the funds on the back end of it to pass forward a incorrect political schematic and forced time waste, almost like counting down the clock at a basketball game is the only way, it's the only way that I can explain it.
Begin to recover as well. This is about our values. We value inherent dignity of all people, inherent dignity of everyone. In times of trouble, Americans reach out to offer a helping hand. That's who we are.
It's who we're supposed to be.
In the fight against COVID-19, the United States is committed to be the arsenal of vaccines, just as we were the arsenal of democracy during World War II. We're backing up that commitment. We've contributed more than any other nation to COVAX, the collective global efforts delivering COVID-19 vaccines across the world.
Okay, so U.S. supplied the WW1 and WW2 and the ACW with their facts. It is the limelight on the National Security Mall shined over my head. Right? I don't understand why I was born already in a deficit. I had confirmed in the grave one foul play. I watched one deteriorate, meaning Marie. I watched Clifford Jr., the second generation, and Judith go into the grave. I did not have 42 years to waste for Linda to have a job at some bank that meant absolutely fucking nothing, while my ability to walk and not be harmed bioterroristly, the ability to walk and protect yourself, that's kind of an important thing the day you're born. If you don't have parents that are willing to defend you from the day you're born, what's the point? So you waited 42 years just stringing me along until what? She retires and then she's gonna get on, help me out? Didn't fucking happen. It's not gonna happen. She doesn't see it. Star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. It's August 3rd, 2021. I brought it to the grave. I brought it to Alexander the Great. That would be me reporting as Minerva and Catherine the Great on my own file at this point. From state of New York, which is the Russian fighter jet that went down in Afghan territory for the British files, but it's state of New York, to tie it all together between WW1, WW2, and and ACW, since I've got like The Rock seems to be some big Samoan cookie, and he doesn't even look like the right lineage or heritage to my Russian and Korean committee. So it's a little confusing why WWE or WWF would hire that to represent my Russian committee. Did you not think I would hear about it? On the Olympic doping. You humans are all dopes as far as I'm concerned, and you keep leading more fucking dangerously every fucking day you take breath and produce useless actions.